Hi everyone, welcome to an exciting series where we'll cover the life cycle on building an Alexa skill. I recommend watching the videos for each step and then applying the hands-on exercises in the videos before moving on to the next video in the sequence. You'll have the best practices by the end of this series with an engaging Alexa skill in store. You can also connect with me on Twitter and LinkedIn, and I'd love to hear your feedback on these videos. Okay, let's begin. Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. My name is Ozzy. I'm Alexa Developer Evangelist for ANZ, and today I have Paul, which flew all the way from Seattle to join us. Today's focus is all about design, which Paul is very passionate about.
Very cool. I think this is an important step. This is one of those things that's actually going to speed up your entire process. If you're the kind who likes to get in there and start coding right away, I get the I want to code part. But what'll happen is you get coding and then all of a sudden you've got a prototype and you love it, except for it's very narrow and works in some limited scenarios, and then you have to throw it away because you have to actually implement your design.
Exactly.
So this will let you get in there, get the right experience from the get-go, and then you'll still iterate, you'll still keep going, right? So this is just gives you a really solid base to work from.
Awesome. So let's get started. The previous step, what we covered was a few things. So we just went through the ideation session, like what we want to build, what resonates nicely with voice, and what's the use case that we want to have. We wrote an elevator pitch. We walked that through a few people and made sure that there's audience for that.
Yeah, if you skip this step, what ends up happening is usually you say, I have an API, and I have now voice controlled the API. And it turns out not to be valuable. And when you go through this process to build your elevator pitch and your happy path scripts, you realize that's a boring, lame skill, and you've gone through the iteration. So this is a great spot. We have this confidence. Now we got to get into actually designing
the skill. If we want to talk about the objective of this session, it's how to create the design artifacts, because we say we want to design it, but what that is, what's that artifact? Is it a flowchart, which we are going to talk a lot about, that's not the right way to create like a good design for voice. And we want you to have something to be able to communicate the value of these designs to your clients, to your stakeholders. So that's one of the artifacts that is going to come out of these sessions. And you want to, when you build the skills at the end, at some point, you want to be able to test it. So this, whatever we are designing at this session can be played as like a testing plan for future sessions.
Yeah, it sets you up nicely for that. So at the end of it, you're ready to build. Like at the end of this, you can sit down with a coder, or you yourself can go start implementing.
Exactly. So these are, like we talked about elevator pitch, which came from the last session. So the format of that elevator pitch is something similar like this. Like, for this target audience who has this statement or need or opportunity, the skill name, whatever that we want to, whatever we name it, is like of this type of a skill that delights user by doing such and such. So as part of ideation, we want to add all of these bits. We want to know that we have a good understanding of what we are building. And the simple case that we designed was this one. So we came up with a vacation countdown. That's exciting. So what does it do? So for people who have an upcoming vacation, so we are in Australia, we love vacations, by the way, who want to maximize their joy, the vacation countdown is a reminder skill that delights user by building excitement and anticipation.
Yeah, you sort of extend the fun of it, right? Like you're building up the anticipation. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah, cool. So let's go and talk about some of the design principles in general when we are designing for voice. So the first one is being adaptable. When we have like graphical user interfaces, so someone designs the screen and people adapt to however it is designed. So we as users have to adapt to it, but for voice, there is nothing to adapt to.
Well, yeah, there's always a way to interact with your thing. But there's no visual clues like a label or a button or a list or whatever.
Exactly.
So we have to think about that in voice, like what will people grab onto and use to control the skill and do that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And so it turns out that it's utterances, intents, and slots are sort of the heart of that. An example of this is in web and mobile.
Yep.
What you might do is have an OK button, or let's do a submit button.
Yep.
So it's a button, and it has the word submit on it. And the user needs to apply their own natural language understanding to go, oh, submit is the thing I want.
Yep.
Instead of publish or upload or whatever else they might have been thinking.
Yep.
Like submit is the best fit. So when the label submit is like an utterance.
Yep.
And the function that runs when you click the submit button is like the intent.
Yep.
So like we will launch the submit function.
Exactly.
So in voice, you just don't have those labels
Yep.
that are there all the time. So it's possible for the user to say submit, that would still work, call the submit function, but publish would also, or deploy or whatever, all of those phrases will now cause the submit function to run. So that's the difference between utterances and intents. And one of your jobs as a designer now is, instead of picking the one right word that will work for most of your users, you pick the range of words that will cover what your users need, like submit, publish, whatever.
Because we want to adapt to them. We want them to say whatever they want, as they say in a like daily conversation, and we should adopt and pick what they are saying.
Mm-hmm.
What's the entity resolution, Paul?
Well, so when you do that, when you say something like, I'm going to upload my document, or I'm going to upload my paper, or I'm going to upload my PDF, right? Really, document, paper, PDF, they're all the same thing.
Yep.
So it'd be like, I'm going to upload my item, and item is the slot, and then my slot value will be paper, or let's say document. Document would be what it is, but I can have a range of words or phrases that mean the exact same thing. It's kind of like a synonym, right? It means the same thing. It's not technically a synonym because it could also be a whole phrase, or I want to upload my tax forms, which is not really a synonym for documents, but you could do that. So that's what entity resolution is. It's an important facet. All these, I guess, are important facets to keep in mind right now as we're going through this design phase, and they'll let you sort of scope in the possibilities that we have. Yep. Dynamic entities. This one's really cool. It'll let you optimize for your voice model. So if you think about, as we're designing this out, we'll think about ways we want to phrase things, and you might go, wow, there's like this overlap in my intents, like I'm getting things confused because I've got some things that are very similar. Like an example might be, if you're building like an escape the room skill, you might have one room which is unlock the door, walk to the place, open the window, turn the rabbit, whatever you do to escape the room. And then you might have another room that's all about submarines, and it's open the hatch and find the water and pet the fish and those kinds of things. And so you might want to change out your interaction model so that you can be more focused. Dynamic entities allows you to do that stuff and get a really focused experience.
And we have the dialogue management. Let's say this is booking a flight. So to book a flight, I want to know that where I'm flying from and where I'm flying to, and what's the airline that is of my interest. So there are lots of information that I can grab from the user to be able to provide something meaningful. But what's the order that user is going to provide it? There are so many permutations of how the conversation would go. That's how it is if it is a human.
So the litmus test for you here, I think, is if you're getting to a point where in this design process, you're effectively making a wizard. Where do you want to go? When do you want to get there? What are you going to do when you do there? Do you want to be eaten by sharks on Bondi Beach? Like all those things. You should probably say, don't do that. Instead, use dialogue management.
Exactly.
And just say, I need 4 things. Here are the 4, and let dialogue management handle it for you. So the litmus test, again, is if you feel like you're making a wizard, then you probably want to go look up dialogue management and figure out how that works and simplify yourself down. Great.
And the second one is being tailored. So we in graphical user interfaces, we want consistency because there are lots of information. There's limited pixels on the screen, and you want to just categorize those information on the screen. Usually people come to like a menu and structure it that way, and all of us are used to that, and we know how to navigate through it.
Totally.
And it's not that hard. Like if you make a mistake to go to a different branch, you just find your way back and navigate through it, and it works nicely. And all of the buttons and everything, like when you go through the pages, the buttons are usually in one side of the page because...
How annoying would it be if the buttons always move or the colors always change?
Exactly, because you want consistently, you want to help people with their like cognitive load, and that's how we are doing in graphical user interface. For the voice, there is no cognitive load, like there is nothing that I'm skimming through. So if I provide that consistency, I'm not solving any problem in the first place.
Yeah, it actually does the reverse of what you really want. So with consistency, like in this room, in this studio we're in, there's stuff all over the place, but I can ignore it really easily just because I'm good as a person, like humans are good at ignoring all sorts of things, and then they can quickly zero in on what they want. With voice, you have to hear it all. And so if you hear something that's repetitive, you're like, get me past it, get me past it. So yeah, you definitely want to have variety here.
Yeah, exactly. And
the goal for both of those is about learnability. So you're still bringing with you that spirit of I want to help people enjoy this very quickly and use it, but you're just not using the hammer of consistency. You're actually using the hammer of variety.
Exactly.
It's a little counterintuitive.
Exactly. And for like all of these experiences, we want to use like high quality audio because that's the main channel that people are interacting with the skill. And most of the skills that are exciting and I found them engaging, they're using the high quality audio.
Yeah, so you'll see we'll start with just doing text and just read the text, but then we'll start adding some audio sounds and stuff like that. So you just want to think about that experience as like a high fidelity, great, cool experience.
And we have screens.
Yeah, it's another kind of response is your screen, right? And you know, when you're coming from mobile and web, you might think, oh, thank goodness, a screen. But when you're coming from web service development, you might go, oh, I don't want to do screens. That's why I came to voice. I didn't have to do screens. Either way, it's a little different. And your screen, you don't have a mouse hooked up to it. There is touch. You can touch and do things like that. But oftentimes your screens are further away than your arms are long. Like it might be that it's on the other side of the kitchen, or it's on your TV screen, or it's on the bedside or your desk side with the little spot. So while touch works, that's not the main affordance for using it. Your main affordance is voice. And what this really adds is this passive surface. So I can say things like, what's the weather next week? And then like this picture here shows I can see more information than would be interesting to listen to. But I can glance and like, oh, I actually want to see the precipitation, or I want to, and I could touch one of those and get more information, or I could say something and get more information.
Yeah. And we don't want to force them to just come to the device and touch their screen and to be able to navigate with their skill. Still, we want it to be voice first. But the screen is there to just provide more information and assist with what we are doing.
Yeah. If you have an experience where you should be right up next to it, just build a phone app.
Or
exactly. Build a laptop website or whatever. This is meant to be ambient computing. Example here is giving 3 different examples from a skill, and it's using memory to allow you to have a more unique experience. So the first card says, Alexa, open College Coach. And then it's the very first time. And then the way Alexa responds is, welcome to College Coach. I'm going to help give you all this information. It's going to be great. Hey, where would you like to go to school? So it oriented you to the experience, and then it prompted you to get you into the experience. So the second card shows a different time where the user says the exact same thing. They say, open College Coach. But now it's been 5 times in a row. And so as a skill builder, I really want to reward the people that keep coming back over and over again, right? So Alexa's response now is like, wow, 5 times in a row, great work. You're really on path. This is so cool. Hey, so you had an assignment last time out of 5 stars. How would you rate the University of Denver?
Exactly.
So you see, I said the exact same thing, open College Coach, but I got a different response. And then the third one is talking about any other time. So it's not a special moment, it's the general moment, but it's not the first time, right? So in general, you want to think about, how do I grab the first time? How do I grab some special moments? How do I grab the general case? And how do I use memory to start building that out?
So the more information we have, we will be able to have more personalized type of interaction with them. Here, the situations were different. We are just remembering how many times they've used this skill, and we are using that to just build something meaningful, to play something meaningful back to them.
Totally. Cool. Yeah, nothing more annoying than play a game and you're having a blast with it, and then you open the game and it starts right back up at the very beginning.
Exactly.
And you're like, I gotta start over? Like, why can't I just remember I'm a level 5?
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like straightforward and obvious, but this is actually an important facet for skill builders. And it's a big difference between the skill builders who are finding a lot of success and the skill builders who are just
Exactly.
having a cool one-time experience kind of a game.
Exactly.
More on this retention, memory is a key piece of it. When you think about retention and you think about your experience and how you're going to get users coming back all the time, think about some of these sort of psychological motivations that people have. And what can you do to deliver like a genuine, meaningful response in these areas? Like an epic meaning or calling is just like, this is something that I'm passionate about. This resonates with me.
Yep.
And so no matter what your niche is, if you're focused in on some, anime fans, then you're like, okay, well, there's meaning around anime for them, and
Yep.
it helps them get through things. And we don't need to go through all these, but the spirit is, when you think about retention, this is the kind of thing you can look up and think about, right? Like, make it a little bit unpredictable to add curiosity, help people express their creativity, and add feedback into the experience. These are
And the socializing one is important. Like I was playing with quiz game, and it pairs you with someone randomly around the world, and it's cool. Sometimes I don't even want to play with the game. I just want to see which city it's going to pair me with.
That's so
So
cool.
that's pretty cool. So use all of these elements to just bring retention to your skills.
Another one here is fresh content. I can't tell you how often I've seen a really great skill get out, get going, gets a lot of great ratings, and then all of a sudden the ratings just dive.
Yep.
And we're like, what'd they do? What'd they change? What happened? And it turns out nothing. They didn't change anything. They did nothing. And the people who are your biggest fans,
Yep.
they're like, 5 stars, I love this thing. They're the ones that keep coming back.
Yep.
And then they keep coming back, but there's nothing. And they like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if it is a quiz game, it's 100 really good quiz questions. But then if I keep hearing the same things, I lose my interest. So I need like new, fresh content to be motivated to follow along.
Yeah, so this is something when you're thinking about design, that's where we're at, is talking about design. There certainly is a technical component of this too.
Yeah.
But when you think about design, it's like, well, what are my content chunks? What are my motivations for adding more content?
Exactly.
How will customers find them in my experience? And
Exactly.
yeah, it's good.
Cool. And the last one is being available. Like I started my career as a software developer, and I implemented the IVR system.
Oh, okay.
So that was pretty cool at the time, like picking up the phone and testing my system. The technology was at that level, and that was what we had, and it was cool. But I noticed like many users press 0 to talk to a real human being.
Do you know how 0 sounds? Like, are you so used to it, you know the
Yes.
sounds?
And the reason that people don't like it,
Yeah.
because if you make a mistake, it's really hard to go back. You have to just follow along how it described to you, like press number 1 to do this and that, and it doesn't work.
Right.
Like at that point, we didn't have all of these cool technologies, cloud computing, natural language understanding, speech recognition. So it wasn't there. But now that we have it and we have all of these platforms, it's easy to make all of these options available at the top level. So they don't have to navigate all of these structures to ask for their bank account. If I say, like, what's my bank account number, it should be able to provide it to you.
Yeah, instead of having to go menu,
Exactly.
bank account number.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that leads to a breakdown of, or let's break it down, I suppose, like how a conversation tends to go. Like in this conversation, sometimes I'm talking and sometimes you're talking, and then we're both talking to the audience, and the audience can chat. But like, throughout that experience, there's different initiative.
Yeah.
So who has initiative at the moment, right?
Yeah.
So in this sort of Alexa world, there's really 2 that we concern ourselves with mostly. One is the user has initiative.
Yep.
And that's the kind of thing where the user says, turn on the light, turn off the light, set a timer, play a song by so-and-so, right?
Yep.
It's just they say what they want to have happen, and Alexa goes, okay, no problem.
And do
There
the
you go.
job.
Do the job, right? Those are really cool and powerful. They're probably a lot of the reasons you love working with Alexa, right? Because it's like, I can get stuff done. It's super efficient. They're also narrower, right? Like you're not building big, deep, rich experiences, immersive kinds of experiences. So the other end of the spectrum is system initiative.
Yep.
This is where Alexa takes charge, and then the user just sort of does what Alexa
Tells
asks.
it to
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
So a really good example of a system initiative that works pretty well is a quiz game.
Yep.
So Alexa says, hey, here's my question, and then the user responds.
Yep.
Here's my question, user responds. And that works great because the user knows what to do, right? They've been given a very prescriptive prompt
Yep.
that helps them get the job done. The challenge is if they're in the middle of a question, they say, give me a hint. Or if they're in the middle of a question and they say, help.
Yeah.
Or, they start over, repeat that, right? There's all these other things that you might want people to be able to say while they're asking a question. And they just took initiative.
Yeah.
Because the best skills, at least, won't say, here's your question, it's A, B, C, or D. Or you could say help, or buy a hint, or, right, you're not going to list all the options every time.
It turns to an IVR system then.
Yeah. And so you can even see this as you start working your way out of quiz games. If you look at more like an escape the room kind of a game or an adventure game, let's do an adventure game. The system version of an adventure game is, okay, you're in the dungeon.
Yep.
Do you want to attack? Do you want to gather the gold? Or do you want to exit?
Yeah.
And then you're like, I want to go back to the town. Uh-oh, that doesn't work, right? Or I want to buy a sword, or I want to, pick a pocket my friend, whatever. And so the system initiative will work as long as you say, do you want to do A, B, or C? And they say B. A, B, or C? C. A, B, or C? A, right? As soon as you say A, B, or C, and they go 2, 16, F, then it gets harder. So what we're really looking for is getting to a point where we have mixed initiative. And this is what's going to allow you to have longer, deeper, more engaging, more engrossing experiences. Now, if you're building a utility, the metrics might be different, right? You might not be going for duration because you want speed, but you're still giving them the flexibility to use your system in a user-directed or system-directed way. Yeah. So let's look at some examples of how this plays out. So this here is a ticket ordering skill. Let's listen to it. We've just got set up where I said I want to search for a movie.
Yep, that's here.
Find a movie near me.
You can browse movies that are coming soon, or I can give a recommendation. What would you like to do?
Find A Wrinkle in Time.
You are in the Browse Movie section. Say stop to return to main menu.
I don't want to be a user for that.
Right, so you see what happened, right? They built their information architecture, they built a menu system, and the user was navigating just fine down into a menu system, but they didn't draw the line in their flow chart from the browse section where it says find new movies near me over to get a movie title. Exactly. And the skill does it. It's not like the skill can't do it. The skill actually is able to do what the user wanted.
Yep.
They just didn't have it designed to work that way.
Exactly.
And notice how it's very system initiative, right? The Alexa says something, and then the user responds. Alexa says something, and you've got to kind of follow its precise recommendations. All right, so let's look at another one.
So you can place this order or change something. Which would you like?
Change the location.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand. You can place this order or change something. Which would you like?
Change something.
Okay, you can change the pickup time, change the location, change the pickup method, or change the order item. What would you like to do?
So again,
it was painful, like to change the location,
And the skill could do it, right? It was right there in the next level down. But we were requiring people to understand your invisible menu system.
Exactly.
And it gets kind of hard. So the question then becomes, well, how do I convert this thing that is a flow chart into something that's more useful and allows mixed initiative? So here's an example of a flow chart. This is you might be able to imagine a skill designed this way, where the skill says, welcome, would you like to do A or B? And the person goes, A. So Alexa would say, A is cool. Would you like to do C or D? And the person goes, C. And you go, all right, nice choice, right? Makes sense, and you can see how it flows.
Yep.
It's easy for me to explain it to you. It's easy for you to explain it to a client.
Yep.
There's a lot of benefits in this whole flowchart thing. The problem is I say, welcome, do you want to do A or B? And then I go, I want to do D. And he goes, I'm sorry, you can say A or B. And I have to say, well, B. B is great. Well, I didn't get a chance to say D. Like, I can't get to where I want to get just by saying I want to do D.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about how we convert this to what we've been calling situational design instead of this very prescriptive graph-based UI. The first thing we do is we add the user back into the lead. So most flowcharts you'll see, they start with Alexa saying something and then the user responding.
Yep.
And the reality is the user is saying something and Alexa's responding to the user.
Correct. Yep.
And that's a pretty big change from system initiative into mixed initiative.
Exactly.
But it's actually how it's working.
Yeah.
So you say launch the skill, welcome, you want to do A or B. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take everything, everywhere there's a place that there's a line.
Yep.
We have to preserve that information. It's actually really important that A is connected to A is cool.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So let's pull those together. There goes B. And there goes A and C and D, right? So we've just moved these things along their lines. And now we end up with these set of cards, these set of turns. So I'll say launch the skill. Alexa says, welcome, would you like A or B? And I say I'd like A. And then what's going to happen? I just said A, so Alexa will respond with A is cool.
Yeah.
Do you want C or D? But now I can also say launch the skill. Welcome, would you like A or B? I want D. Okay, D, you lose, right? It all plays
it's
out.
available. Yeah.
The other thing that happens here is over time, skills get more interesting, or another way to say it is more complex.
Yep.
Right? You add more and more features and capabilities. And if you have a flowchart, it gets harder and harder to jam these ideas into the flowchart.
Yeah.
And what really ends up happening is the flowchart gets thrown away, and designers sit over their developer's shoulder and they go, that's the design. The code is the design. So let's look at it here. Let's say I want to add a premium experience.
Ooh.
So now I bought the A pack.
Okay.
I'm in the A team, or I don't know what the thing's called. So I say launch the skill. Welcome. Do you want A or B? I want A, and I'm a premium user. So now it's going to say A is awesome.
Yeah.
Do you want C or D? So you can see how there's now a condition here where I've got when A is premium, do this stuff.
Yep.
When A is not premium, do this. So you've got when they say something, here's a response.
So they're saying the same thing, it's A, but their situation is different. One of them, they are premium, and in the other one, they're not. And this is catering for that.
That's right. Now, very often around this time, the crafty skill builders of the world say something like, yeah, but sometimes I don't want you to be able to say D. I don't want you to be able to say anything at any time.
Yeah.
And I think that's true and it's false at the same time. So let's take an experience where you're doing you were describing the planning a trip.
Yep.
So let's do that experience. And I'm planning, and then I'm booking.
Okay.
Right? So if I come into the skill and I go planning, and then I say book it,
Yeah.
the response should be, great, I've booked it, have a fun trip, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
Now let's say I open the skill and I go book it.
And it doesn't have any information.
No information, so what can it do, right?
Yeah.
So in a failure world, it could say something like, I'm sorry, you can say cancel, go back to the main menu, like the food ordering one did.
Yeah.
What we want to say is, I can totally help you book a trip. First, I have a few questions to ask you.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go?
Yeah.
And now you start the planning prompt engine.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? Well, we add these two things in here. And so now I've got this book it, and there's a trip planned. There's a book it, the person said book it, and the prerequisites are already completed.
Yeah.
So then we say, okay, it's booked, have a great trip. If I say book it, however, and the prerequisites are not complete, then I can just acknowledge what they said.
Yeah.
I can totally help you. And then the prompt is actually the prompt engine for planning the trip.
Exactly. So they should still be able to say D, but for when they say that, we check the the context. Like, do we have enough information to help with the D? If not, we don't want to say sorry, we can't help you. We want to say we know you want to do this, let me help you and ask the follow-up questions.
Exactly. So it's completely fine to have required prereqs.
Exactly.
Right? And that's okay. We can work through that.
Yep.
So let's break this down. Let's take, that was a set of cards. There are a bunch of different cards across the thing. If you start with the premise that there's this conversation,
Yep.
and within the conversation we take turns.
Yep.
So Alexa, me, right?
Yep.
One of those back and forths would be a
Yep.
turn.
Yep.
So how do we break that down? Well, the top part of it is going to be an utterance. This is
Yep.
what the person said.
Yep.
Then there's the situation. So it's the first time I came to the skill, the fifth time I came to the skill, or if I have a trip planned already, or if I'm a premium user, like all of those things are the situation. So that stuff at the top, the utterance and the situation, define the moment.
Yep.
And then we're going to respond to that.
Yep.
So how do we respond? Well, the response component is basically acknowledging
Yep.
that I understand what's going on.
Exactly.
Like, welcome for the first time, I'll orient you. Yep. Or I can totally help you book that. Let's first do something else, right?
Yep.
Then the prompt is how you as a designer pull the conversation forward. You know, conversations are meant to be cooperative experiences where there's a goal. And the goal might be to help you plan for college in this case, or to help you plan for a trip or whatever. And the prompt is what's going to pull you forward and to get you where you're going.
Exactly.
So should we look at this in some more context?
Yeah. Let's have
All
a
right.
look.
So we've got scripts. You know, in the prereq for this course was you got to have your happy path script.
Yes.
So now we have to go through the process of realizing, well, first of all, that script is not actually the design. That script is, it's valuable. It's interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have to convert that into something that can be a little more useful for design artifacts and design process. So we need to convert those scripts into storyboards.
Yep.
Storyboards just give us the ability to have a lot more information,
Yep.
particularly around the situation and the context and a few bits.
Yep.
So that's pretty straightforward. You just take every turn and lay it out.
And a storyboard is like a specific path that we are going to interact with the skill. It can be like a happy path, it can be a disrupted path, but it's a flow of a conversation, something meaningful or something that goes wrong as well.
Yeah. One common wish here at this point is people start wanting to make their flowcharts at this point.
Yes.
And because you'll be like, hey, I am planning a trip, but I don't have the trip plan, so I draw arrows and start drawing flowcharts and branching things. And just resist that. We'll walk you through why it's okay right now. The key, though, is you can have many storyboards.
Yep.
And so if you want to capture the very basic first-time user path and the when I have a premium user and they've come back every day path, and when I don't have all the right information, when they say weird things, like I'm talking about answering a question in a quiz and they go pickles, you're like, we can deal with that. And so you make up these storyboards and you can have multiple of them. It's not, and you don't have to have them all.
Exactly.
Okay. So should we go look at this in a tool and see how this plays out? All right. So this tool that we're using here, you can actually use a wide range of tools. This is Adobe XD. It's a canvas-based tool, so you can zoom out and I can see like all sorts of stuff.
And the link was there in the slide if people want to go and just have a look. This is the link.
Yeah, it's alexa.design and then situational-design-templates.
Yep.
Cool. All right, so let's go in there and look how we would convert that script into a storyboard. I guess we'll just do it. All right, so maybe you can orient people back to what we were making in step 1 and where we're at.
The skill was a vacation countdown. If I open this skill, it's going to ask, hello, when is your vacation? There are devices that can have a screen and just complement the voice. So my design is just a question mark because I'm asking a question. So the answer to that would be November 5th. So the skill can tell 5th of November. So by repeating that, I'm confirming that this is what I heard.
Mm-hmm.
I'll remember that. See you later, alligator. That's a cool way of saying goodbye. And the design is just showing what I captured. That was November 5th. So now again, I say open vacation countdown. This time it knows when I'm going to the vacation. So the answer should be different. So here it's saying like welcome back 20 days until your vacation. And next time when you open the vacation countdown, let's say it's the day of the vacation. So it's going to say, woohoo, today is vacation day. And that's Paul's drawing. That's impressive.
Is it a rocket ship going down, or is it a
have no idea.
celebration tube going, I don't know. Yeah. All right, so we're going to take that script and we're going to convert it into turns.
Yep.
Okay, so here's a turn. I've got utterance, situation, response. I'm just going to go up here and grab it. Open vacation countdown.
Yep.
So let's just change that. Open vacation countdown. Oh my gosh. Okay. And then I'm going to call this, what do we want to name this card? I think I'm just going to call it like Start 1 or Welcome 1. You like Welcome or you like Start?
Welcome.
Welcome. All right. And just a number, like it's my first welcome. Then I have this situation. So what is the situation? It's first time, right?
First time, yeah.
So I'm just putting in there. Now, the developer is going to sit with you. And by the way, I know that a lot of people are both designer and developer all in one. I just like to have a split personality, like the designer hat of you and then the developer hat. And later we're going to talk about the marketing person hat and all those things. So if I ever say you're a developer, I might mean the role of you acting as a developer, or I might mean, you know, your agency that's working with you if you're a big brand, or if you're an agency, maybe you have a team full of developers, or if you're a studio. So you get it. So, but at design time, we just need to know it's the first time. We don't need to know exactly what the variables for that are. And then what are we going to change? Well, we clearly want to note that you've been here once.
Yep.
So we need to increment the visit count.
So the changes are like, as a result of this, something is going to change in our estate, so we are just documenting it.
Yeah, kind of the way to think about this top half, see above the line here, is when this happens, do the bottom half. So it's like when top half, do bottom half.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so that was the changes. And then what's our response? So our response is, hello, when is your vacation?
So let's see how it fits into this card.
So I just copied it, but now I just realized I don't want to copy it. So I could just paste it all here, but I want to separate out my response and my prompt. So I say hello, and then when is your vacation? Now there's another thing that I can do with these cards. So here I've got the card, right? I can stretch it, so I can stretch it sideways, and this is where me and my developer can have a little conversation. Like I could say, first time is visit count equals 0.
Yep.
Right? And then here I could say visit count.
Should be incremental.
Oh my gosh. Count plus equals 1. Yep. And then what else might I do here? I might say this is a launch request.
Yeah.
Right? And I could have an intent or whatever it might be. So I'm just documenting, like, what do I think this is? What variables am I going to use and whatnot? Again, I don't think you need it for the early stages of the design, but it's there for you. Then the next thing that you can do if you wish is you can stretch this card down as well. And if you go down, now there is...
Should be the image for a multimodal experience.
Right. So if you're Aussie, you would just put a big question mark in here.
That's amazing design.
It's amazing design. I like it. Question mark.
And change the font.
And then you think you're gonna not just type a question mark. You're also gonna change the font size.
Yeah.
Wow. That's nice. Do you want to leave it black, or are you gonna go really crazy?
Let's go crazy.
What? Oh, that is crazy. All right. So I guess you're gonna fill.
Yeah, green or yellow.
You like green? Like one of these?
Yeah.
All right, good work.
Yes,
nice.
Awesome.
Nice. Okay, so anyway, you can fill out what the screens might look like. And these are just sketches. You're not generating APL or something like that off of this, but you're capturing the essence of what this is about.
Exactly.
Because if you remember, the goal of these design artifacts is to, at the end of it, you have everything you need to start the implementation.
Yep.
And it's the implementation of your interaction model,
Yep.
the implementation of your logic for your code, and it's the implementation of your responses.
Exactly.
So the way you phrase the words, but also show pictures and do audio.
Yep.
So there's our welcome. Welcome for the first time. When is your vacation? And then,
We need,
what did we say? So we make it. I just copied it and pasted it. This will be what is happening here. This is I'm going to give a date.
yeah.
That's sort of what's going on here. And then
So they said
I said November.
5th.
Oh, I really got to zoom in here. I should have made the fonts bigger on these so you don't have to zoom in so much. The situation. So is it true that no matter what, whenever you say November 5th in this skill, we're just going to say, okay, I know your next vacation is on November 5th? So I think the situation is really any time.
Yeah. It is
Anytime you say this.
Yeah.
All right. So sometimes people call this a global, right? It just works everywhere.
Yeah. So nothing is specific here. So we are always going to do the same thing.
So I think that works in this design.
Yeah.
All right. And then what are we going to change? We're going to set the vacation date.
Yeah. That's the state that we heard. Yeah.
Great. And then my response is going to be 5th of November.
Yeah.
I'll remember that. And then what else did we say? Let's go look at our script.
Good.
I'll remember that. See you later, alligator.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. So it's still the response.
See you later, alligator. Yeah, exactly. It's still the response. And in this case, there is no prompt because the skill closes after that. So you just don't have a prompt. Cool. You know what's exciting is I was using our template part here. I'm gonna move these down into this scenario, right? So this scenario here is typical first time.
Yeah.
And we're done with that one, right?
That's
is it that
it.
easy? Okay.
That's it,
So what's another scenario we should do?
So the next one is
What is it?
when we know, like, they are opening the skill, and we know when they are going for the vacation. So that's another scenario. So we already did these two.
We already did the top part here. Now we have to do these ones.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So all right. Vacation is known, right?
Yep.
Vacation is
known, and it's different from today.
Yeah. Upcoming vacation.
Upcoming vacation.
Great.
Cool.
Okay, so now I'm going to grab one of these dudes and we will put it in here. So this organization here is really just for us to keep things organized, and I can move it around on the page. So let's dig into that one. So I have a welcome, open vacation counter.
Yep.
The situation is different now. We have a date.
Exactly.
I'm going to delete these notes so we don't start propagating these notes everywhere.
Yeah.
You can always go back and add them. Oh, that was way too much. Okay, we have a date. And then, so what's the change? We're going to increment the visit count.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's true.
Because we might want to have a streak count or something like that.
Exactly.
Is there any other change that we're making?
No, that's pretty
That's
much
it, right?
Yeah.
And then the response is, what was it?
Let's have a look.
Welcome back. 20 days until your vacation. And I'm not going to put the screens in for now. We can come back and do that. Okay. Blop, and then no prompt. It's over, right?
That's it. Yep.
Super simple. Okay. Except I just did the wrong one.
You did the wrong one. Yeah.
Upcoming vacation.
Yeah.
Boop, welcome back. 20 days until your vacation.
And that's it. We don't need a prompt.
Now, I don't have to get it's 20 days, it's 21 days, it's 22 days, or it's 19 days. I don't have to type all the combinations in.
Yep.
This is just meant to give you like a representative experience, and then when we go to implement the responses component, we will put in a variable for that and so forth. And in fact, I don't want to even have welcome back be the same. I'm going to say welcome back, nice to see you. Hey, what's up? Oh my gosh, 20 days. You know, we want, and in fact, you might even have logic in here that says things like, if it's less than a month, go like, it's so soon. And if it's a long ways away, like, cool, patience, it's going to be fine. Or it's 200 days away, that's November 5th, right?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you actually want to have a lot of variety in here,
Yep.
but they're all doing the same thing. It's the same class of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we got another one up here, right?
Yeah, so the last one is when we have the date, and that's the day of the vacation.
Oh, it's vacation day.
Yes.
All right. Cool. So this is
Vacation day.
today is the day, vacation day. Yep. Great. So let's just grab this. Copy it down. By the way, this was welcome number 2.
Yeah.
And this will be welcome number 3.
Correct.
Okay. Let's dig into it. Open vacation day. We have a date.
Yep.
And more than that, today is the day, right? So here's an interesting thing. The other one just said we have a date.
Yep.
We could have also said, and today is not the day of the vacation.
Yep.
But it's okay if we say this. We have more general and more specific.
Yep.
Because what we do is we'll say, let's look at cards in specificity order, effectively, where we'd say open the vacation countdown, and I have a date, and today is the day. We'll do this card.
Yep.
But if I open vacation count and this day is not the day, then we go, well, do I have another one with a date? Yes, have a date, and we do that card.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Increment the visit count, we're doing that for sure.
And the response was something cool, like woohoo.
Woohoo, yeah. And so we'll have to put some interjections in there and stuff. Let's see here.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, you can tell we're going through the process of this. It's, of course, a very simple skill. And quite honestly, a flowchart probably would have done it for you on this one. You might even be able to build off the script. But as we start to really make skills even a little bit more complicated, this very quickly ramps up. All right, so far what we've been doing is storyboard. But what we're actually doing is we're generating all the possible turns that this skill can have.
Exactly.
So what I like to do is collect these guys up. So these are all my welcomes.
Yep.
So I'm going to copy all my welcomes over here. And I just make a section for welcomes.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And then if you grab the title, that seems the best way to
Move it around.
grab it and move it around. So now I have all my welcomes, right? And I could keep making scenarios. Well, I guess let me finish building my grid out because we're so close.
Yep. And this is when they provide the date.
They give a date.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just make this bucket give a date. And here's all the ways I can give a date. Great. So a couple things. One is I have to have help.
Yeah.
Otherwise you can't even pass certification. So
That's correct.
we better go make a help card. Now, do I have to make a storyboard for the help? Probably not. Like, I could if I want to, but I don't know that I need to. So I'm just going to add it here. But then I'll show you how it would work in a card or in a storyboard. So help, and then what did they say? They said help. Let's zoom in. Situation, we'll make it global.
Yeah.
That's fine. Now you might say like, help when I'm in the middle of the game, help when I'm in a dungeon, help when I'm whatever. So situations still matter here.
Yep.
But we'll make it there. Changes, we're not gonna
Change any state.
there's no change
You're
to
asking
make.
something.
The response was, let's get excited for your upcoming vacation. And then the prompt is usually like, what are the most common things you can do in your skill? And I would say like, when are you going on vacation? And by the way, if you use the Amazon date field and they say next week, well, they'll give you a date back for that.
Yep.
So that's totally fine.
Yeah.
All right, so that gives us help. Now,
and if you want to be so specific, they might say help when the system already had the vacation date, or it might not have.
That's great. So I add another one. I would change the situation to be
when I have the date.
Have a date. And then this would be we're tracking your upcoming
vacation day.
Vacation. And then maybe we give it a little bit of hint here, right? Like we can say, you can say things, you can give a new date
if your vacation has changed.
If your vacation has changed. You can also say, when is my vacation?
Yep.
And then, depending upon how complex your skill is, I like to give very specific prompts. But in this case, you might just say, what would you like to do?
Yeah.
Okay, so we didn't plan to do that. That wasn't in our script, but boy, it feels nice to have it now. So notice that we didn't build a storyboard to do that. We were just like, what other helps might I want?
Yeah.
And we just added it. So to recap that point, there's storyboards, which give you this sort of in time, here's how the skill experiences. These are very short storyboards.
Yep.
I think we have some others here that are a little bit longer, 3, 4, 5 turns each. And then I have others that are much longer, like a quiz game would be here we go. The Better with Buttons quiz, if you look in the GitHub repositories,
Lots of
you can see it.
cards.
So there's a lot of cards here. This is one storyboard. And in this storyboard, you say, open the skill, how many players are there? There's 4 players. Okay, everybody, time to push your buttons. Player 1 hits their button, player 2 hits their button, player 3 hits their button. Are you ready to start the game? Yes. All right, here we go. Here's the current question. The correct answer is blah. Is it the correct answer, multiplayer, blah, blah. There's just a lot of variations, and it goes through the whole skill. So you just have a scenario that gets through that whole experience.
Yep.
So to get done with step 2 of this process, what you'll probably do now is iterate.
Yep.
And so, like in this example, you may have noticed I said you can say things like, when is my vacation?
Yep.
Well, I should add a when is my vacation thing now, right? So you iterate, build out a few more scenarios, fill out more cards in your bucketing of cards here, those 2 things. Think about, do you want to add in skill purchasing? Do you have stop? Do you have cancel? Do you have all the required intents covered? And just work through it. And so what you'll notice is that at first you're going to go really fast and you're going to have all sorts of ideas and you're just going to keep going, oh, I need a new card. And you might be in the middle of a storyboard and you go, oh, what if they answer it wrong? Or, oh, what if they... Just really quickly grab the situation, put it over into the pile over in this grid section, and keep going. Just get your scenario and then come back and fill out the cards all the way.
Exactly.
So that's the whole job right now, is just iterate and get these cards. You might need to work with another person. The end of this should be, I'm doing a Wizard of Oz kind of a thing, where I've got the cards. Effectively, I can just grab them all up, and then you play like you're human, I play like I'm Alexa.
Exactly.
And we go through the whole process.
Yeah.
So that, I think that would give you everything you need for this thing.
Exactly.
There's probably one thing that the developer in you will probably be like, I need to know what's going on. And so it's really for the next section, but I'll give a teaser of it, which is, hey, these cards, the top half, little inside trick here, the top half is your can handle, if you're using the SDK, and the bottom half is your handle.
Yep.
So really what you're going to do is you're not even going to think about these scenarios when it's all done and said. Those are an aid for designing. They're an aid for thinking through the experience. And they're also great for test cases because now you can run test cases against your scenarios. But really what you want to do is just go through every one of these cards in the turn, create a can handle and a handle for every single card, and then you start layering in the logic and detail. So you'll do that when you start doing the actual implementation, but don't get wrapped around the axle of like, how do these connect and what do they all do and all that stuff. It doesn't actually need to happen that way. It's can handle and handle.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Paul, for sharing all of these insights.
And you can always reach us on social and let us know what you're up to. I'm super excited to see what's happening.
Exactly. Awesome. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
And enjoy skill building, everyone. Bye.